I basically get people out of what we call their proverbial comfort zones. And we've all heard that term before, but to me, and we really actually think in pictures and not in the words. So, you know, when you think of comfort zone, I think of a room thermostat. At the thermostat between 78 and 82 degrees, we're very comfortable. Well, my job isn't here to entertain you this morning. My job is to educate you. My job is to get you out of your proverbial comfort zone. My job is to get you mentally colder or warmer. The very first thing we want to do as human beings is we want to adjust that comfort zone. So I'm going to ask you not to touch the thermostat. I'm going to ask you to sit on your egos. Egos prevent people from becoming the type of person they're capable of being. Okay? Change. And we all need to be changing, especially in this economy and this society. There's 5 or 6 steps any psychologist or psychiatrist will tell you that you need to go through. The very first step, which is the most critical, step number 1, you have to become aware that there's room for growth. You have to become aware that you have a problem. There are millions of people walking around today that are blaming society and blaming everybody else for their situation. If you want to take control of the situation, you only need to do 2 things. The very first thing you need to do is become aware of goal setting. Have a proper goal. The second thing is you need to become aware, you need to become a better communicator. How many of you think that you're pretty good communicators? Would you raise your hand? Okay, but let's see what we really know about communication. Here to break communication down into 3 distinct steps. Let's go voice, tone, and nonverbal. Who would say voice communication is at least 50% of our communication ability? Or throw out some numbers if you would. Let's see. Pardon? Okay. What do you think, sir? About 50? Yeah. Okay. And then trying to reach 100%, if we put 50 on tone, on voice, who would you put down for tone and nonverbal?
10 on tone and the rest on nonverbal.
Okay. Now what's your name, sir?
Bob.
Bob. Does everyone agree with Bob?
No.
Because that customer that walks in your door, let's pretend you just got in your car, you drove down to the Publix. Okay, Publix maybe 10 miles away, maybe it's 100 degrees outside, maybe it's storming outside. You go back to the meat counter, you take a look at the pieces of meat, and you go, I really don't have a weight motivation to be here, I have nothing else to do, so I thought I'd look at the meat counter. People don't do that, do they? What about when you go into one of the department stores, even Marcus, JCPenney's, Burdines, you went in there, you're looking at the tie rack or the blouse rack, the sales clerk walks up to you and says, could I help you? What do you automatically say? Who triggered that response? The salesperson. He knows he doesn't have to work. He knows what you're going to be able to say. So he doesn't have to actually have a communication with you. You know, we are so lacking in this country on our communication ability. It's just soft skills which are the hardest to learn. When you met me for the very first time this morning, what did you tend to look at? What did you focus in on? Your tie. Okay. Overall appearance, normally, and then what do you tend to focus in on? How do you tell about personality when you're not even talking to somebody yet? Let me ask you to look at the person next to you and tell me what you tend to focus in on. It's how you smile. Focus in on the eyes. Okay? Now, I want you to look in the person's eyes next to you. Let me tell you what you're looking for. You're looking for what's called pupil dilation. The subconscious behavioral response. You cannot help yourself except have your pupils dilate when you're interested in that person or when that person is saying. Why don't you take a couple of seconds and look at each other's eyes for dilation? People are honest and sincere and open, they're going to flash with the open palm of their hand. Watch the politicians, how conservative they are, and how they speak with the back of their hand. Thank you very much. They're very We've adopted most of our behavioral patterns when we're 3, 4, and 5 years old. All you have to do is realize that you've been programmed. You're doing the same things today as adults that you learned as children. What about that?
I didn't steal no car out there.
For a second, that loss, okay? And then we're alone, okay? And we're going to my office. Would you be able to have that report on my desk by 9 o'clock tonight? Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's change the scenario a little bit. Let's pretend we're at a party with a bunch of rowdy people. It's great? Great. Okay, great. Has anyone ever told you that you're leaking?
No.
Okay, you're leaking right now. Okay. It's called leaking behavior. All right? When he first came to my office, his toes were pointed directly towards me 100%. He was giving me 100% of his attention. As soon as I invited him to this party, his stance widened, giving everyone else the attention. If we wanted to exclude you, we would do what's called a cold shoulder. Okay, but you'll see a lot of your clients do what's called the leaking dance. Their foot will turn up to 8 seconds subconsciously in the direction that they want to go into, and that's normally the exit door. I'm talking to you. There you go. What are the parts of the hammer? The handle, the head. Okay? But what about the face, the pole, the azure eye, and the wedge? We tend to know only about 50% of the things we know. One of my favorite sayings is people don't know what they don't know. How many of you have ever had handcuffs on? Now, you don't have to raise your hand. University of Central Florida, these female ladies with their hands up. Oh, okay. I'm going to run the attention. We live with mental handcuffs. My job is to have you start putting your heart back into the things that you do. Remember when you were on your honeymoon stage, either with your employer or with your wife? It was instantaneous. You did things without thinking about it. You took your clothes out the night before, you polished your shoes, you picked out your dress, you were so excited to get to work 15, 20 minutes early. And then what happens after a while, people that you've been working with, or perhaps well-meaning friends and mates, they start pulling you down. Oh, don't work so hard. You still wear the same thing. Oh, yeah, I got a mate like that at home too, why do the extra things anymore? So normally the honeymoon stage starts deteriorating into one combination. And then sometimes it will either go back to fanning the embers back in your heart with passion and love, or sometimes it will deteriorate even more for divorce or termination of employment. Transformational learning. Transformational learning is basically unlearning the things that you know and replacing them with new things. It's entirely up to you, but we've all been programmed. If you look at our society today, well, look at the ruination that's going through based on TV programs. Do you realize up until 1979 there was not one ad that was placed for condoms, but Trojan manufacturers, since 1979, became billionaires. What they did is they subconsciously planted in all their movies the man taking out of his wallet protection. They never advertised. And you're wondering why all this premarital sex is going on. We let it happen. You don't do anything about it. Populist, Romulus, Senatus. Senate and the people are wrong. The Colosseums were originally built so that the people of Rome and the Senate and Caesar would be able to go in and discuss all about the laws. But what happens now is we put up elected and we're kept so busy that we confuse activity with accomplishment. To me, sometimes our Constitution seems to be hanging by a thread because we're not getting actively involved in the things that we should. I was asked to stop at age 10